So what I hear too is, as I'm
you
comprehending, am I listening or am I comprehending? Like, I think of listening, I guess, as having a comprehension component to it, which is, and maybe this is where you're coming from, is like my thinking mind is engaged with what I am hearing, right? Yeah. And when I hear you say, like, are you hearing me? Like there's something deeper there.
Yes.
Right? And it's sort of almost like and this is going to get to my meditation question, which is the letting go of the thinking mind.
Yes.
And allowing a more fuller hearing activity to be engaged. Does that sound like...
Yeah, that sounds right. I mean, I think listening leads to hearing, leads to understanding, leads to intimacy, and leads to communion. And I think the relationship between companion and companioned is one of deep intimacy, of shared listening, of shared discernment, because we're both listening to something bigger. However, you might define it, I might define it, we both recognize that it's something deeper that we're listening to. And I would also say that the best relationships of this type that I've encountered, both in my role as companion and companioned, are ones where ourselves are lost, right? Where we start to channel something bigger than us that kind of flows through us, like we're instruments, and the life force or God or the universe starts to flow through us freely, right? And vice versa, because it's very much a symbiotic relationship. It's a two-way relationship as well.
Yeah, there is an alchemical magic there that I think a lot of our members and can recall, that I can recall. Yeah. Where suddenly some insight is gained in that session, in that modality, and I might offer something that came not from me.
Yep,
and
exactly.
it touches on something very deep, and it goes beyond just am I offering something of value to you? It's like there's something else here that might be coming through my mouth and my vocal cords, but is sort of beyond what I could have thought up in that moment.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm referring to, and I think that leads directly to the contemplation meditation conversation, which are there ways to funnel to become better funnels of that energy? Mm-hmm. Because that energy, whatever label you want to put on it, God, the universe, the beyond, Tao, is really what we're inviting in each other, and the striving and the longing and the searching and the discerning of the people that we companion is centered around that energy. So of course you want to do whatever you can to facilitate that energy coming in. And our intellects is certainly one way, particularly for those of us in the West who are used to modalities of discernment that are centered around intellectual disquisition, right? Around intellectual analysis. Talk therapy. And is spiritual companionship, spiritual direction, talk therapy. It has an element of it, but I would say it's probably a minor element, not a major element. And the major element is, are we able to create spiritual heat between us, right? Am I able, as your companion, if you've picked me, am I able to help you heat up your discernment so that you can figure out the questions that you know the questions and you already know the answers, so that the answers can become loud enough that you can have confidence and rely on them for yourself. That, oh yes, I had questions, I had great doubt, and now I have great faith and great resolve. Even if that great faith and great resolve is increasingly enters the field of the unknown.
Yeah. And there's almost something present in the moment too of that relationship that is humming, you know. I mean, when you talk about that spiritual heat, it's like there's a burner turned on, right?
Yes.
It's like an energy.
But you can feel it.
Yeah.
You can feel it. We can feel it right now. And I think that's the beauty of this modality is both parties, when it's happening, you know, it's one of those there it is moments. It's like you can feel it. You can feel it. Something is moving and stirring. Something much deeper is moving and stirring. And when that movement stirs, it changes everything, right? I mean, you walk out the door with it. It lingers with you. It enters your dreams. It enters your consciousness. It starts to pervade everything, right? So that call gets loud. And I hear this from a lot of people on Companion. The call that they're hearing, that little voice just starts to get really, really loud and insistent. In fact, obnoxious in a way. Like, you know, I will not be denied.
Yeah.
Right? This call can no longer be denied. And that uncomfortable place is what we're going for.
So I want to, you started to speak to this, but how do we do it? Like, what are some practical ways that we can invite this kind of hearing that you're inviting us to?
Yeah, and you know, I'll give you a very Taoist response, even though I think this is shared by all of the mystical traditions, at least in my discernment, is that we invite it by disinviting it, right? And what I mean by that is not, it's basically by, you know, we often talk about background, foreground, right? That somehow the spiritual direction exercise, if it can be called that, is moving things that are in the background to the foreground of our awareness and moving things that are in the foreground of our awareness to the background. And usually what's in the foreground are, I need to get to work on time. I need to make my payments. I need to take care of my children. I need to make sure I, you know, tend to my partner, whatever the responsibilities of our daily lives are. And the stuff in the background is that little voice saying, you know, deeper meaning, I'm here, knock, knock, knock. And when are you going to pay attention to me? When are you going to pay attention to me? And so we're kind of shifting and inverting that. What can we do to bring it in? We need some kind of disruptor. And the disruptive mechanism is not, you know, taking a hammer to a rock to try to demolish some obstacle in our path. It's actually learning to flow like water, which is why I use the Taoist analysis. It's nothing more than opening ourselves up to a broader field of vision, opening ourselves up to flowing around rocks, to just getting in the groove of things, spiritual groove of things, so that things can be revealed to us that are always in our field. We just can't see them. We just can't feel them because we actually let our intellect get in the way.
Yeah.